Welcome to Spacevidcast 4.09 for Friday, April 8th, 20... I was like, April 9th, 2011. We are Benjamin and Carrie and Higginbothams. We are internet celebrities, as the banner says.
That's my understanding.
It is.
Been told.
Yeah, that's what we... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's official now. And we didn't mention this last week, but Richard Branson bought Pluto.
Well, I mean, come on! How cool is that? He plans to make it a real planet. By the way, the new vehicles that they're developing are going to grab onto nearby asteroids and bring them into Pluto's gravitational field to bulk Pluto up and hence become a planet
So
again.
for those who missed it, last week was April Fool's, and as our April Fool's joke, we said we were purchased by Maston Space Systems.
Yes.
And we had been getting congratulatory emails and Twitters all week long.
Which has been so nice and so we really should just forward all those to Dave.
Hey Dave, just so you know.
Everyone loves this idea.
So yeah, April Fool's.
Yeah.
It was our fun little prank.
We were not purchased by Maston Space Systems. Just FYI.
Not at all. But it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
You know, hey.
And I hope Tiffany got a picture.
Speaking of having fun, we have got a great guest tonight. We've got the author of Martian Summer, Andrew Kessler, joining us. And
Yes.
Here's a quick video snippet of a little bit about Martian Summer.
Can we get a laser beam on this lander? And the laser beam measured the first Martian snowcloud.
We've never had a laser land on Mars before.
That may not get you a lot of dates, but it's really exciting. It snows on Mars.
40 meters, 27 meters, 20 meters. Standing back for touchdown.
Probably one of my favorite clips.
Yeah, honest, if that doesn't make you want to buy the book, I don't know what will.
Andrew, welcome to Spacevidcast. Where are you at right now?
Thank you for having me. I am not coming to you live from jail. This is, in fact, the University of Michigan Library, where I've been cordially hosted by the Hatcher Library and the SEDS group for a talk that I just gave. So it's a little bit choppy here, but hopefully you can hear me all right.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about Martian Summer.
Martian Summer is a really amazing book. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to say that. It's my experience living and working with the Phoenix Mars lander team. I was kind of the luckiest fanboy ever, and I got a chance to live and work with the Phoenix team for 90 days. I spent the summer going to work every day in mission control during the primary mission for the Phoenix Mars lander, and it was a kind of an amazing experience, and I did my best to capture it in this book called Martian Summer.
Now, you've called this the winning the nerd lottery. How did you get involved in this project in the first place?
So Peter Smith, the head of the mission, he asked if I could just sort of help out pitching media ideas for the mission. He is this kind of thoughtful space, self-made Mars man who knows that the importance of bringing missions like these to a wider audience is paramount. And so he brought me in to help kind of come up with ideas that might appeal to not the average space fan, to people that have maybe a casual interest in space. And we were looking for ways to engage them on a deeper level. And so we pitched a few ideas together, and then that first moment when I was able to head behind the security door in mission control, I knew that I was hooked, and there was no way that I was going to let go of this story.
That's impressive. That's totally something that we would love to do. We've been, to the media site,
Oh, yeah.
but that's pretty much as far as we've gone. So
Oh, yeah.
this is just, we are in awe, good sir.
Well, I know that I got a pretty amazing opportunity, and I hope that I was able to capture some tiny bit of the amazing goodness that I witnessed while I was there in this book. I owe it to everyone else.
Nice. Have you always been interested in space, or was it just after you got, to mission control?
So I was always interested in space. As a little boy, I had a big science, general science and space fascination. And somehow it just kind of, I don't know, I just stopped being so passionate about it. And then when I got to mission control, it was like all of these old feelings were stirred up. And I noticed this huge gulf between what I saw as a casual observer reading blogs or as news stories and what was actually happening in mission control. And I thought that was kind of an opportunity for an amazing story.
So is this your day job then as well? Because it sounds like you're kind of a space geeks, but it's kind of one of those side passions. So
it's yes. Sorry, go ahead.
no. So what's your day job? How does this all relate?
So my day job is pitching ideas and making funny videos like the one that you just saw. I'm a creative director at an ad agency, and I help giant companies tell stories. And I thought that might apply to a NASA mission very well, where there's this amazing content, but sometimes the story gets lost in the technical things that are happening.
That's a really good, and actually in our timeline, we actually, strangely enough, we're going to be talking about how space needs to tell a story and how we think space is doing a pretty bad job of telling the story of some of the most awesome things humans have ever done. Because exactly that, they get bogged down in so many technical details that sometimes they forget that, this is pretty incredible stuff, and there's a human story here too. Mm-hmm.
I think there's an amazing human story, and the people that I met on this mission, they are the best characters that you could ever find in a book. They are all just some fantastic people that care so passionately about their subject that they just make for great content, apart from being pretty fantastic people.
So how did you, you said that you were working and living with them. How exactly, were you literally like a fly on the wall, or were you integral? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you fit in with all of these people?
So in the beginning, I really didn't fit in at all, and I was very self-conscious of being there as a feeling like a burden. I guess there came a point at some time in the mission when I really worked hard in the beginning to get a sense of what was happening and understand what everyone was doing. I was just this really annoying character that was always asking people what they were doing. And then I sort of got a reputation for knowing what was happening. And then probably 30 days into the mission, someone asked me what was happening in another group on the mission. And that was just this amazing feeling, like I had found my place and I had a job and that I could spread information between groups. And that felt nice. But other than that, I was there to document and figure out how we could tell this story in a way that would appeal to a broader audience.
Interesting. I love that. Was there ever a point, you said kind of in the beginning, but was there ever a point where you really were like, what the hell have I just stepped into?
Oh noes! Over my head!
This was a terrible idea. I want out now.
Probably those first 30 days when so when you're in mission control, everything is an acronym, and finally I worked up their courage. I was afraid of a lot of acronyms because like MIPPLE, I was like, that sounds too close to nipple to ask what it actually means.
What does it mean?
And it's the Mars Image Processing Lab at the JPL. And so finally I worked my courage up to ask, well, what does that mean? And I got an answer. And then the next day I was like, oh man, I'm really good at this. I'm going to ask what a burp pass is because I don't know what burp means. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's just a burp. They're burping data. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. So it was a very steep learning curve for me, but it was a kind of an amazing one.
So how's it feel going back to sort of normal life after all of that?
It's terrible. No, I would love to be back. You work with just these the people that I worked with were so amazing, and what we were doing felt so important that I just loved it, and I would love another chance. I was so pleased to be able to spend the next year or so writing about these people every day, so I felt very close to them still. But now that the book's coming out, there's a little bit of postpartum depression, I guess, if that doesn't sound too glib saying.
No, I think we have a good idea about that.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, after every launch, same kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so much involved with that.
So let's talk Yuri's Night a little bit, because you've got some stuff coming up on the April 12th Yuri's Night. You've got an announcement, I believe.
So I've partnered with the amazing folks at Yuri's Night to do a little sponsorship. And what we're doing is we're going to do a limited giveaway for space fans. And we're letting people download a preview copy of the book in order to create a kind of review mob to generate a huge volume of discussion around space and space excitement. And the idea is that we just carry the enthusiasm for Yuri's Night through to a kind of a mass audience and use it to get people excited about space. So if you go to my Facebook page between the hours of 12 and 12 on Yuri's Night, April 12th, you'll be able to download a preview copy of the book, and we're hoping that you'll then review, tell us the parts that you love, hate, tweet, Facebook, anything you can to talk about the book in order to generate a bigger conversation around these topics.
And so when you say between 12 and 12, what time zone in 12 and 12?
Oh, good point. There's the whole world out there. God, I'm such a... I don't even know what the word is for New York centrist. I guess this would be Eastern Daylight Savings, so Eastern EDT.
Sure, so -4 hours for those of you who are not in the
UTC.
US. -4, 12 to 12 with a -4 offset from your time zone. You'll be able to download a preview. And what do you mean by a preview copy of the book? Is it like just a couple of chapters, or is it...
So we are giving away the whole book. I know this is crazy. Don't tell anyone. To space fans as a sort of thank you for having this opportunity. And it's going to be the whole book minus photos. It's a preview copy of the book, so it's the galley copy. It's the copy that reviewers get when they ask for a book to review. And so if you've read any reviews, which so far they've been really great, thank you, reviewers, then you would have read this copy. And then obviously the published copy is hardcover bound and has lots of beautiful images in it.
And there is a Kindle version as well. Somebody was asking me that earlier. So
Yes.
So that's good.
And that Kindle version also has imagery and is also quite nice and comes in a convenient form that's less heavy.
Convenient e-digital form.
Yes.
So you're releasing the preview copy of the book on the 50th anniversary of human spaceflight for a full 24 hours. But space geeks, we like to support each other, so chances are they're going to read the book and be like, this was awesome! And then want to grab a copy of the book. So where are they going to be able to grab actual, obviously the Kindle version you're going to get on Amazon.com, but where else can you get the book?
So the book should be available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, of course, and local bookstores everywhere. And if you don't see it, you should demand that it be front and center in the window display of your local bookstore.
And what was, actually that's your question, but I'm stealing it because it's a really good question.
Go right ahead.
Which is, what is one of the really exciting and one of your favorite moments that you wanted to put in the book, but you just couldn't fit in somehow? Something that didn't make the cut, but you really wish it had.
Wow. What didn't I put in the book that I wish I had? That's a good question. There's a lot in that book. It's pretty long. Have you seen it? But I guess, you know what, the story of my first few training missions, I wanted to start the book on day one, and then I backtrack a little bit to tell you how we got to this moment in time where we arrived on Mars. But the training missions were amazing. I mean, I was just like a kid in a candy store. Just this sense of wonderment all the time. Everything being so new, all these new people doing these fantastic jobs. And I did not include those training missions. So maybe there'll be like some short stories, or I'll write some haikus about them or something. Publish them as second edition.
That'd be awesome, actually.
Particularly in haiku form.
Are you gonna Are you gonna do anything else? Are you gonna go back and try to do another mission? Like I would say MSL, but that's probably too late in the process. Or for you Canadians out there, process. But is there another project that you'd like? Hey, let's try to do this again.
I am a bit of a space slut. So if somebody invites me to cover their mission, I think I would be pleased as punch to do it. I would be happy to spend a lot of time in mission control for any mission.
Now, before actually, here's a question, because you're all about telling stories. Before we let you go, we've got a bunch of space evangelists and space geeks joining us live right now. And one of the things we like to do, and you kind of mentioned this in your own personal experiences, we like to kind of rekindle the passion that we had as children about space, but then for whatever reason, it just kind of goes away. You lose that passion, and then we try to light that spark again, because once you get people excited about it again, it tends to stick. What would your advice be to the space geeks and the already evangelists to help reignite that passion in other people?
Wow. So besides going to Peter Smith's house, knocking on his door, and having you ask him about his space experience, which may be a bit intrusive, I would say, that start following these missions, and hopefully NASA will do more to tell us these kind of messy stories, not the clean, well-edited version, because I think people really care about the process, and I think there's a beautiful process, and that's one of the reasons I felt so lucky and fortunate to be able to see the actual messy, seedy underbelly of space planning, because that's really what did it for me. That it really felt something like I could sink my teeth into. I don't know if that was a very good answer, but
no, that was perfect, especially
sticking
to put
with
you on
it.
the spot. How do you do something that no one's been able to do before? Go! No, absolutely. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. The book will be available for preview copy on April 12th, available on, you're going to have the link on your Facebook site, right, as well as on your
So
personal
that's
site?
facebook.com/Martian Summer, and you can go to KesslerOnMars.com to find out a bit more. Watch some of those videos.
And you'll be releasing the book on April 15th, is it? And
April
that will be
15th.
available in major book resellers, basically worldwide, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I appreciate you. Yes.
Oh, right as we're starting to lose the connection. How is that for timing? And the best part about that was we were having issues with the bandwidth at the school, so that entire thing was done on his iPhone. And I thought that was kind of fun, watching him walk around right from his iPhone. And speaking of the 50th anniversary of human spaceflight, hello, Yure's Night, anybody?
Wait, what?
Exactly. Worldwide celebration on not only the 50th anniversary of humans in space, but also the, 20 years, because Skype is gone. 20 years later, the,
The first STS mission.
Yeah, the first STS
First
mission itself.
flight of Space Shuttle Columbia?
Yes.
Yay! I win!
I had to think about it too. I was like, wait, what?
I don't know. It was STS-1. That's all I got. And it was white.
For those of you who don't know, youresnight.net is a global party. What are we up to at this point? It's over 300 parties.
Yeah, it's just under 400. It's like 378 or something along those lines. It's kind of crazy. Oh, I'm getting almost 400 events. Thank you, Jeffrey. I just got a PM there. I knew I had to double check that. So that's very, very cool. Not exactly our 1,000 that we were hoping for.
Yeah, so we said 1,000 we'd be on for 24 hours. That still is legit, right? So
Absolutely.
if you guys between here and April, I guess 11th, we got to have some advance notice.
Right.
Between here and there, make it up to 1,000 parties. We'll be on for 24 hours. We'll do it in coordinated universal time, so a 0-hour offset from midnight to midnight of nothing but Yure's parties, and we'll jump from around the globe. However, having said that, short of that, here's what we're planning on doing. April 12th, starting at 6 p.m. Central Time, which is 11 p.m. Coordinated Universal Time. Yep. We will...
6-hour offset.
5.
What is 5 hours? Sorry.
We will be going live with the the Yure's Night Global Webcast. And we'll be jumping from party to party, and we've got some really awesome stuff lined up for you. Great giveaways from Think Geek. We've got some patches and some stickers and just some awesome stuff to give away to you guys. And then, I don't know if you guys got to join us last year, but it was, oh my goodness, it was a hoot and a half.
Did I tell you?
What?
Sorry. I mean, it involves you too. So.
Give us a moment.
But,
Yeah.
so Croatia, totally on. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Colorado, totally on.
Yeah. You remember Croatia? So anyone who watched us live last year,
Right?
Croatia.
I'm gonna throw up. And if you don't understand, you got to go back and watch.
Yeah,
And I just recently saw Columbus, Ohio.
Ooh.
So we're set.
We are set.
We're
That's-
totally set.
Everything else is gravy. So we'll be doing that
know.
April 12th, starting at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That's 11 p.m. According to Universal Time. In addition, that prior weekend, a couple days earlier, because the 12th is like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I don't remember
So
which.
this weekend.
So this coming weekend, we're not going to be doing an official global webcast. Let me just
Right.
throw this out there right now. It is not an official webcast, but since we're just showing NASA TV anyhow, that's boring. Any Yure's Night party that we're able to find online, we're just going to start bouncing to you on the Spacevidcast channel.
Yep.
So if you tune into Spacevidcast sometime this evening,
And there's random people like Darth Vader doing the twist with a really, really oversized stormtrooper, you'll know why.
Yep,
It's a
exactly.
Yure's Night party.
Yep, so we'll be doing that a little bit this weekend. That's the unofficial global webcast. It's
Yes.
not really going to be highly produced. We're just going to be jumping. And then Carrie Ann and I will be joining you for the official global webcast on the 12th on the exact 50-year anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's historic first flight into space.
Very cool.
Yep.
And by the way, Yure's Night Live is live right now. So it's live.yurisnight.net. And this is where you can submit pictures, video, all of that fun stuff. It's got to be, you're agreeing to license it under Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 3.0, just so you know. So that your submissions are not anonymous, that you will get attribution and all of those things. But very, very cool, very easy to do. You just pretty much go to the website under submissions. It's live.yurisnight.net under submissions, and then there's an email. Just hit a subject line, et cetera, and then you will be part of history.
Let's go to our Yuri's Night commercial, and when we come back, we've got some pretty neat news that came out of SpaceX and commercial space flight. Stay with us.
It's pretty neat.
It's pretty neat. We'll be right back.
Happy Yuri's Night, 2011. You know, Yuri Gagarin circled the Earth above the atmosphere, had to jump out of his capsule on the way down in 1961. So it was 50 years ago.
On that, April 12th, that day, humanity changed. We became a species that was no longer confined to the Earth.
What people used to dream about came true. The reality is, in those 50 years, human beings have fulfilled a ambition that's existed in the human spirit for thousands of years before.
Space exploration brings out the best in us, brings out the best in humans.
I think that orbital perspective that you get when you look down at this planet hanging in the blackness of space is something that can't help but to affect you in some way.
I think that the concept of planet Earth is coming from human spaceflight. Our future is global.
I think back about that Christmas Eve where we, for the first time, we saw an Earthrise on the lunar horizon. I think the way we looked at our planet, the way we looked at ourselves, changed forever. We're all in this together. We're all riding through this spaceship through the universe that we call planet Earth, and it's something that we need to take care of, and we need to take care of each other. It really put a focus on who we are as a species, who we are as inhabitants of planet Earth.
50 years ago, they knew not only the dream, but how hard it was going to be to accomplish the dream. Yuri Gagarin went to space not being positive that he would be able to return alive. Most of the people who followed him in the early days had the same understanding, that there was no guarantee.
Just think what the next 50 years are going to be. It's going to be, if I may, unrecognizable in a cool way.
Well, I think that the transition that will mark the next 50 years is that we will go from placing representatives of our species in orbit to placing human society in orbit. This is going to be the challenge for the next 50 years, not just the technology of moving people and their machines to great distances, but finding out how human beings will interrelate with each other in an environment where they are definitely dependent on each other and in a set of circumstances totally different from the ones in which we evolved as a species.
I hope that includes, establishing outposts in different parts of the solar system, maybe starting with the moon. We have asteroids, Mars, and someday, going beyond our solar system with human exploration.
We need the dream, we need to work hard, we need to plan, and we need the dare.
If the opportunity comes up, I'm going.
And did we mention Crow River Coffee at the beginning of the show?
Even if we didn't, we should anyway.
Absolutely. So make sure to head on over to crowrivercoffeecompany.com. And as we were talking about in the Martian Soul, you got to deal with the time zone offset. The time offsets.
How about for Yuri's night? You want to be up for the entire time that we have to be up.
That's a much better segue than mine. What was I thinking?
I don't know.
Absolutely. crowrivercoffee.com. Grab some Blast Off blend. Do it right now. It helps support Crow River Coffee, which supports Spacevidcast, which supports you. So you get something in return, and you help yourself. That's how that works. All right. We had mentioned earlier about telling stories in space.
Yes.
And this particular link, you can just go to the wiki. This particular link has nothing to do with space. This story is not a space story. It's something I read regarding Apple and how other companies don't understand what Apple does, which is Apple's products are not necessarily better. I know, blasphemy. Are not necessarily better than anyone else's, but they tell a story with their product.
They tug at your heartstrings. Have you ever seen an Apple commercial about how you can connect with your family? They're not telling you about the technology and how cool it is that now I've got a camera on this side and I've got a camera on this side and oh, I can see myself. No, it's about the mom and the son connecting because he's in Iraq, or it's about the father and the daughter and she doesn't want to show him her braces. It's that family, it's that connection, and then you suddenly go, oh, I want one.
Right. And when you think about it, most of the other manufacturers, they talk about specs. They talk about dual core this, fastest that, this type of camera, this many megapixels. And that's not a story, that's a technology. And people, the techies kind of care, but at the end of the day, most people, they want to hear the story of the product. They want to know how it's going to impact them. And I think we have the same exact problem in space. We talk about the rockets. We talk about Ares 1 and how we don't like Ares 1 or we love Ares 1 or whatever the case may be. Or we talk about Falcon 9 and how it's going to, how it has 9 engines and this much thrust at liftoff. And, we use all these acronyms, but we don't tell the story. And because we get so caught up in the space shuttle that we forget to tell the story of the space shuttle. And this is actually where Yuri's night kind of comes in a little bit, because you're telling the story, and drinking, but you're telling the story of how human spaceflight came to be.
Which really is honestly more interesting with drinking anyway.
So, and this, the whole point of this article is we collectively, as a space community, as evangelists for space, as people who want to get everyone excited about this stuff, we shouldn't be talking about the tech. We shouldn't be talking about the rockets. We should be talking about the story and how it impacts them in their daily lives and get their minds and hearts going, because this is world-changing, civilization-changing stuff that we're working on, and it deserves to be told in an extremely good, touching, motivational way, more so than just, hey, look, here's a new rocket. Speaking of, hey, look, here's a new rocket, let's tell the story of the SpaceX Falcon Heavy. And if I refer to it as the Falcon 9 Heavy, I apologize in advance. The most powerful rocket humans have ever built was the Saturn V rocket. And that put humans on the moon. This thing was a monster. And it's hot. That configuration of the Saturn V last launched in 1972 when we finally put humans on the moon on Apollo 17. That was the last mission that configuration ever had. And we have not had a rocket that powerful since. And so a lot of people say, well, why don't we go back to the moon? Well, we kind of can't. We don't have the ability to do that. Last week on April 5th, Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX and CTO of SpaceX as well, came out and said, all right, here's the Falcon Heavy. Now, we had all known about the Falcon Heavy before. This will be the second most powerful rocket humans have ever built. Ever. Let me say that again because it's kind of impressive. The second most powerful rocket ever built. This is going to be capable of going to the moon if they wanted to. This has enough power for them to do lunar missions. It will actually have, let me get the real numbers, as I just told you not to talk about numbers, but here I go.
We've got geeks in there.
We have geeks in the room. You got to understand the conversation. 117,000 pounds to low Earth orbit. How cool is that?
Crazy.
This particular vehicle is going to, in my opinion, potentially revolutionize the space industry, because not only can it take a bunch of mass into low Earth orbit, it does it at a price that's extremely inexpensive. And I ran some numbers. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. About a gallon of water is a little over 8 pounds, I believe.
Okay.
I'm just going to round it to 8 pounds. The magic number in space is $1,000 to LEO, which means for 1 pound of whatever cost $1,000 to get to low Earth orbit. Think about that, getting water up to the International Space Station for a moment. A single gallon of water on this extremely inexpensive flight, something that's less expensive than anything we've had to date, is $8,000 to bring that gallon of water up there.
That's expensive water.
That's expensive water. This is why recycling water on the International Space Station is so incredibly important, because it is woefully expensive to get this stuff into Earth orbit. The amount of power required to get that water up there is extremely expensive.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much money it costs
ridiculous.
to launch a single person into low Earth orbit. And this is one of the reasons why companies like Virgin and Armadillo and others right now are not targeting the low Earth orbit market, because the cost and the energy requirements for getting there are so incredibly high. But this is where the Falcon 9 will, the Falcon Heavy will come in, because it's got all of this payload capacity. It's got all of this weight. Actually, the weight is equivalent to the amount of mass that it can bring up is equivalent to a fully loaded with fuel 747.
That's big.
So you can take a 747, you'll have to scrunch it into the size that would fit, snap off the wings, but staple them on the side. Take a 747, cram them into this Falcon Heavy, and launch the entire 747 with passengers, baggage, and fuel into orbit, and then fly around your 747. I'm not sure how that would work.
And food. First class gets food.
First class does get food, and silverware.
Real silverware.
Exactly. Yeah. How is that? Think about that for a moment. That's the amount of mass that they're going to be able to bring up to low Earth orbit. This is a game changer. That's going to be really cool.
Huge.
All right, so there's that. Speaking of commercial space, Parabolic Arc had this really interesting article on what they called Behind the Numbers and who's doing really well in commercial space. And there are actually a few graphics, but the numbers are kind of surprising. And check out this graphic. It shows basically Russia is kicking our butt at commercial space in almost every single way, and Europe is making more money than us. We're hardly doing anything at all. Look at that.
Yeah.
The entire article is available on Parabolic Arc's website, and you can see there are a lot more graphs and pretty pictures.
I just love the, not even just commercial launches, but total launches. Total launches, United States says 15. We thought we were doing pretty kick-ass with 15. Total launches, 15, right? Like, that's enough to keep you occupied at least once a month. Russia, 31. 31! Over double what we did.
Yeah.
Holy cannoli.
Exactly.
It's impressive.
Good article, and hopefully this will be changing with the likes of SpaceX, Armadillo Aerospace, Maston Space Systems, so forth and so on. We'll be able to get more and more commercial space here in the U.S. But this is why, in my opinion, and this is opinion, it's really important for NASA to be focusing on the COTS program and the CCDEV programs, and really starting to get the commercial space program working much better here in the U.S. because we are lagging behind the rest of the world when it comes to commercial space. Not as the space program as a whole, but in commercial space, we're lagging behind. And it's time for us to do better. This is an entire industry being born. This is money that we don't necessarily want leaving our country.
And jobs.
Money and jobs. Now, for those of you in other countries, by all means, do the exact same thing. Competition is good, but I live in the U.S. and I'm patriotic, so I'd like for us to have the best commercial space system on the planet. And let's be frank, today we don't. We have some great companies like SpaceX, but those numbers, the numbers are what they are.
Yeah.
So.
Very impressive.
Speaking of commercial space companies, White Knight 2 had a rendezvous. They opened up a brand new terminal
If you haven't seen this,
it's pretty cool.
Seriously,
They rendezvoused with a commercial airline, and it was for the opening of another terminal, and I want to say it was at San Diego, like Terminal 2.
SFO.
So that's San Francisco. So San Francisco, Virgin opened up a brand new terminal. Richard Branson was there, Buzz Aldrin was there, and they said, hey, there might be something that is Virgin Galactic related.
We're going to open a terminal, and this is what they do.
They open a terminal, and check out this footage.
Right now, you see it on the left-hand side?
It's way off. I can see it way off in the distance there. It's like way over there. See it? Way over there?
I've left our dashing heroes up front, Rob and Vince.
Like this dot.
They're working very hard now to put this formation together.
Oh no, they're circling back around. They're coming up. They're coming up, man.
On board, this is a very historic, exciting moment for Mr. Aldrin, for Sir Richard.
You see him?
This should be a very, very proud moment. For the Kipsters on board, this should be your inspiration.
There they are.
There's your future job, Kipsters. We need astronauts.
That is so cool.
You guys are going to be the next astronauts.
Oh
That's
my
your
God.
office right there.
Look at that thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the view.
That's insane. That is just about the coolest thing I've ever seen.
We do have the seatbelt sign on, but disregard it. Just a special today. Get on over to that left side. Do not miss this opportunity.
Hands down, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Travel.
Oh my gosh, I can see it.
Doesn't that look wonderful?
It's so awesome. Look at it go.
Oh my God. Are you getting some good ones on there? God, amazing. Oh my God, thanks. I'll send them to you.
Okay. It's right in the way. Look at that. Oh my God. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Wow.
I'm going in there.
So this video goes on for several more minutes. We can bail from it. The link at the bottom of your screen. That goes to the actual video itself. But yeah, look at that.
Wow.
If that doesn't make you want to hop onto one of those, I don't know what will.
You know, and I said it was a white night too, and I was watching the video again. It looked like there was a captive carrier. It looked like Spaceship 2 was on that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, Deb K2 and Spaceship 2.
Yeah, there was Spaceship 2 on there. That was in the middle of the two. So yeah, I mean that's if you go to that link in the YouTube, that's the Boing Boing article actually, I believe. In there they've got that full video which you can watch, a great article talking about it, and then they've also got the landing video, which is really cool as well.
Telling the story.
Yeah, it's more than just, hey, look at this cool spaceship. They told the whole story about everything involved and have really great pictures and whatnot. And speaking of our final story, how would you like to go to Zero G, or how would you like to decide what goes into Zero G?
Oh, I do like that idea, actually. So Zero G wants to know what you would like to see float in weightlessness. They want you to submit one photo of an object you'd like to see weightless by April 15th. Again, very big day, April 15th, to Zero G's Facebook page, I believe. And then they'll list the top 5 entries and publish them on the Facebook page. And then it's up to Zero G fans to select the winning object.
So, Spacevidcasters, we're going to post a picture of the show on our website. Everyone should submit a picture of the show. Which
we do it Superman style?
Just
the other Superman style. Really?
Oh, that one?
Yes, when they're caught.
Oh.
Like this?
Yep, and then what they'll do is they'll be cheeky about it, and they'll take a picture of the show and send that into, because the rules were like no animals and no.
Yeah, it basically was the object must fit inside a shoebox, can't be an animal, anything flammable, cannot be made of glass, it can't be magnetic, have sharp edges, and it cannot be liquid. I'm pretty sure that we still fit into that category.
I would actually, I either want to have a picture of the show and have everyone submit that, or what I'd like to do is find some object that violates every single one of those rules and submit that.
Yeah, but Miko totally should go. If we can't
Miko!
Go, Miko is
yes,
acceptable.
Miko should go.
I'll go with that.
Miko is the
Miko's kind of spending
mascot.
some time on the ISS right now, so, you know, if Miko can fit it into Miko's schedule.
Pete, there's got to be a sharp liquid somehow. Like Terminator, what was that, liquid metal? Something. There's some way to make that. Well, you know, it'd be a sharp, a sharp container of liquid inside of some sort of EMP gun, right? I mean, we can make this happen. We can make this happen. I believe we have got rocket scientists watching this show. Spacevidcasters are smart people. Find a way to violate every single one of those rules in one product, like some sort of I don't know.
Chris says Lego SVC, kind of like the Lego Apple Store, or it wasn't Lego Playmobil Apple Store. I'm sure we can figure something out here. Camilla, we can get Camilla up there.
Jim, sharp liquid is ice. See, there we go. We're making progress, making progress. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. We've got Yure's Night coming up this weekend, and then again, April 12th is the official global webcast for the Yure's Night events, the 50th anniversary of Humans in Space, a worldwide celebration of that historic event. April 12th, right here on spacevidcast.com, as well as at youresnight.net and live.youresnight.net. You have plenty of places that you can go. You know, and certainly we'd love to see you here at the global webcast, but go attend a Yure's Night, and if you don't have one in your area, start one.
You know what? Go to a local Yure's Night and bring a webcam, all right?
Absolutely.
And then we can it'll be like one big happy.
Absolutely. Throw it up on Ustream, and maybe the global webcast will incorporate you into the show. I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you guys at Yure's Night 2011.
And it was a kind of an amazing experience, and I did my best to capture it in this book called Martian Summer.
Now, you've called this the winning the nerd lottery. How did you get involved in this project in the first place?
So Peter Smith, the head of the mission, he asked if I could just sort of help out pitching media ideas for the mission. He is this kind of thoughtful space, self-made Mars man who knows that the importance of bringing missions like these to a wider audience is paramount. And so he brought me in to help kind of come up with ideas that might appeal to not the average space fan, to people that have maybe a casual interest in space. And we were looking for ways to engage them on a deeper level. And so we pitched a few ideas together, and then that first moment when I was able to head behind the security door in Mission Control, I knew that I was hooked, and there was no way that I was going to let go of this story.
That's impressive.
Welcome to Spacevidcast 4.09 for Friday, April 8th, 20... I was like, April 9th, 2011. We are Benjamin and Carrie and Higginbothams. We are internet celebrities, as the banner says.
That's my understanding.
It is.
Been told.
Yeah, that's what it's official now. And we didn't mention this last week, but Richard Branson bought Pluto.
Well, I mean, come on, how cool is that? He plans to make it a real planet, by the way. The new vehicles that they're developing are going to grab onto nearby asteroids and bring them into Pluto's gravitational.
It snows on Mars.
40 meters, 27 meters, 20 meters. Standing back for touchdown.
Probably one of my favorite clips.
Yeah, honest. If that doesn't make you want to buy the book, I don't know what will.
Andrew, welcome to Spacevidcast. Where are you at right now?
Thank you for having me. I am not coming to you live from jail. This is, in fact, the University of Michigan Library, where I've been cordially hosted by the Hatcher Library and the SEDS group for a talk that I just gave. So it's a little bit choppy here, but hopefully you can hear me all right.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about Martian Summer.
Martian Summer is a really amazing book. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to say that. It's my experience living and working with the Phoenix Mars Lander team. I was kind of the luckiest fanboy ever, and I got a chance to live and work with the Phoenix team for 90 days. I spent the summer going to work every day in mission control during the primary mission for the Phoenix Mars Lander
field to bulk Pluto up and hence become a planet
So
again.
for those who missed it, last week was April Fool's, and as our April Fool's joke, we said we were purchased by Maston Space Systems.
Yes.
And we have been getting congratulatory emails and Twitters all week long.
Which has been so nice and so. We really should just forward all those to
We
Dave.
should. Hey Dave, just so you know.
Everyone loves this idea.
So yeah, April Fool's.
yeah.
It was our fun little prank.
We were
but
not purchased by Maston
Maston
Space
Space
Systems. Just FYI.
not at all. But it was a lot of fun,
a
and
lot of fun.
you know, hey.
And
we
I
like
hope
it.
Tiffany got a picture.
Speaking of having fun, we have got a great guest tonight. We've got the author of Martian Summer, Andrew Kessler, joining us. And
Yes.
here's a quick video snippet of a little bit about Martian Summer.
Can we get a laser beam on this lander? And the laser beam measured the first Martian snow cloud.
We've never had a laser land on Mars before.
That may not get you a lot of dates, but it's really exciting.
That's totally something that we would love to do. We've been, to the media site,
Oh yeah.
but that's pretty much as far as we've gone. So
Oh, yeah.
this is just, we are in awe, good sir.
Well, I know that I got a pretty amazing opportunity, and I hope that I was able to capture some tiny bit of the amazing goodness that I witnessed while I was there in this book. I owe it to everyone else.
Nice. Have you always been interested in space, or was it just after you got, to mission control?
So I was always interested in space. As a little boy, I had a big general science and space fascination. And somehow it just kind of, I just stopped being so passionate about it. And then when I got to mission control, it was like all of these old feelings were stirred up. And I noticed this huge gulf between what I saw as a casual observer reading blogs or as news stories and what was actually happening in mission control. And I thought that was kind of an opportunity for an amazing story.
So is this your day job then as well? Because it sounds like you're kind of a space geek, but it's kind of one of those side passions. So